Good afternoon, gentlemen. It's Active Aussie here, 2:30 p.m. Sunday afternoon. I know I haven't uploaded a video for quite a while, maybe 2 weeks or so. I feel I've been suffering from a bit of a lack of motivation recently, and you could also say I've been a bit cynical, and I feel that cynicism and a lack of motivation really can be a thing at times. However, it's a really magnificent afternoon. It's the first week of spring, and today in particular I'm feeling quite upbeat. I have made a few short videos on my other channel, that little nature channel, which is basically just a bit of a muck around channel. And I was in at the new Queen's Wharf a few days ago, and I made a brief video whilst I was up there. I'll talk about that briefly a bit later, but this is going to be, this video, a bit of red pill and MGTOW content, you could call it. Just want to briefly talk about this so-called coercion and control, which I call propaganda, this type of propaganda in regard to men. And some of you guys, especially anyone here in Queensland listening to this video, you would have seen the advertisements on TV, and they've been on air very frequently. I saw quite a few last night whilst I was watching a film on one of the mainstream TV channels here in Brisbane. And what I find very ironic is that this whole talk about coercion and control in regard to women is very one-sided. Coercion and control by women in regard to men is never spoken about. And one example I'll give is that I feel that many married men in particular are experiencing coercion and control within the marriage relationship, as many women are, you could say, blackmailing these men and saying that unless you do A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, if you don't do this or that, I will divorce you, I'll take half your stuff. And in the case of married men with kids, or even just men who've been cohabitating for quite a while, they could lose up to 85 or 100% of their assets, as we know. And I've said many times that a lot of these guys have ended up bankrupt, insolvent. They have ended up on the streets, and very sadly some of these guys have ended up self-deleting. So a coercive and controlling relationship can be a two-way thing, obviously, but we only hear it from the so-called woman's point of view. That's just my take on it anyway. I'm sure quite a few of you Australian guys have seen this sort of government advertising recently. I don't know how much it costs, but I'm sure it is a lot of money. And as you know, the government here in Queensland is very heavily in debt already, and apparently the debt is really going to blow out between 2025 and 2027, and we already have some very serious financial sort of problems here. A few days ago, it was either Wednesday or Thursday, I was up at the new Queen's Wharf and the Star Casino, and there are quite a few cafes, about 50 restaurants and bars. Most of them are not open yet, but the casino is open. The new bridge across the river is open, but most of the venues are not open. But it turns out that the Star is basically an insolvent business which is technically bankrupt, and there's talk about the government here bailing them out to the tune of several $100 million. And this is something I have never liked, this type of corporate welfare. I feel that when companies, when corporations invest, they have to do due diligence, and that also includes the banks who lend these businesses money. And when you invest in a business, you take a risk, and if that does not pay off, well, just bad luck. That's the risk you take, and you should not expect taxpayers to bail you out. And I know this sort of thing has happened many times before in the USA, Australia, UK, for instance, and it's really something that sort of grind my gears, and it's quite irritating. And the small business community is very peeved, to say the least, that a casino of all things may be bailed out and propped up with taxpayers' money. And we've seen this before in Australia with Qantas, which was given billions of dollars, and basically it's money, taxpayers' money, being thrown into a type of financial black hole, and we never see that money ever again. Maybe you guys have a few opinions, ideas in regard to this as well. I'd like to hear your feedback. That's about all for now. I haven't made a video for quite a while, so just wanted to speak about a few different issues. I'm going to make another video about something that happened in my local area fairly recently. It's quite a disturbing story, so I'll make a separate video in regard to that. That's about all for now. I'll talk to you again soon, hopefully. Cheers.